Start with a piece of stabilizer and put the fabric or the shirt or whatever you would like to embroider on that. And we're going to put that in the hoop. The base goes here, and there's a little arrow indicating these two sides align. We're going to put this in with the fabric up and push the frame together. Okay, and it should be quite tight. I'm going to tighten it a little bit by pulling on it. And it's a little bit too tight now. I'm going to loosen this a little bit so I can push it all the way in. There we go. That's nice and tight, and you can tighten up the screw here, but in this case it's quite tight already. Before you put the frame on the machine, you need to turn the machine on. And if the frame's already on, you'll need to remove it. The first thing it does is it figures out where the location of this center, resets the location, and now we can slip this in. Again, as I tuck this under, you might have to lift it up a little bit to slide it in there. And there's some notches in here that slide onto this until it clicks. Select the design that you want to embroider. You can either use an inbuilt design, and you can scroll through and see the different designs they have, or you can find something on the internet, hit the pocket, and you can put the designs onto a thumb drive, and you can see the designs you have on your thumb drive. And finally, there are a couple ones that you can store on the machine, and there's a couple Emma themed designs. Okay, then I hit set. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to position it on the material. So I've set it up so that I don't mind putting it right in the center, but if you do need to move it, you can move it down or move it up. If you want to resize it, you can change the size, and you rotate it and so forth. Once you're done with that, we're going to end the edit. And now we're going to take a look at where it is going to be on the fabric so that we can tell whether it's in the right spot. So this will show us the outlines of the design, and you can do this a couple different ways. You can either just have the machine move to the upper left-hand corner, move it to the bottom right-hand corner and see, or you can push this button here and it just goes around in a box showing you where it's going to embroider. It's worth doing this step to make sure everything looks okay. When it's done, you can hit OK, and we'll push the embroidery button one more time. And now it's going to tell us which colors you're going to need. It'll start with the yellow, it'll stop and prompt you to put in the red, and then the black. Should have done this sooner, but it's worth checking to make sure we have enough bobbin thread. And the bobbin thread will not be shown, so I push this lever back, which lets me lift this up and pull it out. The bobbin thread isn't shown, so you can always just use the same color white bobbin thread that's already in there. If you need to fill it up, you can use the bobbin winder and replace the thread in there. But once you put it in with the spool coming out this direction, and there's a little picture of how to do it there. The thread should come out in that direction, and then we'll thread it through this little groove right here and follow this around, and it has a little blade you can use to cut off the extra and put that in. By the way, anytime you stop the embroidery, let's say you need to replace the bobbin thread, it'll give you a little warning, And don't worry about stopping it. It can start up again and have a very accurate position. And we'll just slide it back on this to wind the thread. We're going to stick a spool of thread. Make sure it's in this direction where the short end is facing the rest of the threading, where the thread is going to go, because otherwise the thread could get caught on notches here, and that's how you can break a needle. There's a little adapter here that will hold this in place so it doesn't come off, and the thread comes around. Follow the numbers. Go up through 1, down this loop, up through 2 in this direction, and we're going to come down to 3, up to 4. And this one, you might want to look inside there to see if you're catching. There's a little kind of little machine, a little part of the machine that has a little hook there that you're sliding it through. Coming down to 5. Okay, now we're going to get it through number 6, back here. Okay, once it's through 6, I'm going to come up through this thing and back through 7, just kind of slides back a little bit, and we're going to cut off the extra. We can bring this down and just push it down, and it threads. If it doesn't thread for you, make sure you lower the presser foot. And if you have trouble threading, you can always just thread the needle by hand. We'll just push the button to get it started. If there's a tail of, let me stop this for a second. If there's a tail of thread still left out when you start it, after a few iterations, of the needle going up and down, I just push the button again. You can snip off that tail so it doesn't get caught up in the rest of the embroidery, but I'll continue the process. It cuts automatically. As the machine is going, make sure that the thread is coming off nicely. If the thread gets tangled, you have a chance of snapping the needle. When it's done, you'll see that the display shows you that it's time for red. So we'll thread red. So put the red thread on. When you're ready to start again, just press the green button again. I'll add some text to the design. I'll pick the letters, and I'll start with typing in what I need. And I also don't want this to be large letters. I'll hit the small, but if you want to see the rest of the letters, including lowercase, you have to scroll over. Okay, and then hit set when you're ready. There it is, but since I already have my first design there, I'm going to need to move it down. Let's see a little more. And we'll take a look and see if that's in the right location. First I'll hit the end edit, and I'll look and see where it's going to It's a little too close to the design, so I'll move it slightly more, and then we'll let it print. So I'll hit the back, hit OK first, and hit the back, move it down just a little bit more. Okay, and edit, and if we know it's the right spot, we'll hit embroidery. And since I have it all threaded, I'm ready to go. When your design is done, you can lift the presser foot, press this button and kind of pull up to release it, and slide it carefully out from under there. And there's our embroidery.